Could someone or something switch us off? Could it possibly be true that our world is just a computer program, or a hologram, or a dream? Although it's about the weirdest thing you could think of, there are some tantalizing clues this might indeed be the case. The stuff we call reality simply isn't very real after all. Welcome to the outskirts of reality. Welcome to the place where theoretical physics and philosophy meet, and where religion and science lose their meaning. Better fasten your mental seatbelts. What we're all about to tell you is just too weird, too mind-boggling, and quite disturbing, really. Here we go. The place we call reality may not be real at all. It may look real and feel real and smell real, but if you know where to look, and if you look real close, you can see the cracks. Just like a Hollywood actor that suddenly realizes he's not surrounded by real buildings, but just props made out of cardboard paper. If it sounds lame, like science fiction, I agree. Indeed, we've all seen The Matrix, but could such a thing be conceivable? Could it be true? Are we really here, or are we, as one reader of Exit Mundi suggested, only a computer simulation run by an alien race? Perhaps the simulation is getting boring and the guy running the program is about to switch it off. We'd see some kind of huge game over sign and that would be it. One moment we're here, and the next we aren't. If you're easily disturbed or prone to paranoia, you better stop listening now. You may not like the answers to the questions like these. What you are about to read may change the way you see things forever. Why is the universe fine-tuned? First, there's a very, very peculiar thing about the place we live in. Something so weird and profound it sends shivers down your spine. For in fact, the universe seems to be fine-tuned to make life possible. The British cosmologist Fred Hoyle was the first to realize that this is no coincidence. A very peculiar thing about the fundamental constants is that they appear to have exactly the right values. If they were slightly smaller or bigger atoms, stars and planets and people would simply not exist. Take the strong force inside atomic nuclei. If the force were just slightly stronger, it would boost up the burning of stars so much that they would explode only seconds after they were formed. We wouldn't have a sun or even a planet. If, on the other hand, the force were a tad weaker, it would be too weak to hold together elements like the heavy hydrogen isotope deuterium. Stars wouldn't light up and we wouldn't be here either. Astonishingly, the same goes for all other constants. As the famous British astronomer Martin Rees put it, wherever we look, we see examples of fine-tuning. Most of the physical constants of the initial conditions of the universe examined so far appear to be fine-tuned to some extent. That leaves us with a gnawing, unsettling question. Why? Why are all physical constants exactly the way they are? Every cosmologist agrees that there can hardly be a coincidence. So what or who set the rules? Next, you should know the stuff our universe is made of isn't very real at all. Sure, you can feel the chair underneath you and the monitor in front of you, but what we feel and touch and see in everyday life is actually a manifestation of some deeper, completely different kind of underlying reality. One way to explore what matter is to take it apart. First, you'll find tiny chunks of matter. These are called molecules. Then you take the molecules apart, you'll find the atoms the molecule are made of. And then, if you take apart the atoms, you'll see the atoms are made of a nucleus surrounded by a cloud of electrons. And what if you take apart the nucleus? You'll be in for a big surprise, for inside an atom's nucleus is reality as we know it. Actually ceases to exist. An atom's nucleus is made of tiny entities we call particles. That's just for a lack of a better word. When you say particles, you think of little balls, but in quantum physics, there's no such thing as solid balls you can touch or see. In fact, particles like quarks, electrons, and photons are so incredibly and utterly different from everything we know, our language lacks the words to describe them. Particles can be in two places at the same time and behave both like a weave and a tiny chunk of matter, depending on what you do with them. Particles can pop in and out of existence from nowhere, and grabbing them is impossible. It's simply not possible to both know where a particle is and how fast it moves about. But still, a particle has to be something, right? Well, that's why more and more physicists turn to string theory. In string theory, matter is ultimately made of extremely small elastic circles called strings. These strings vibrate, but not like anything we know. The strings vibrate in at least 10 dimensions. Our particles are the vibrations of the strings. They are the music the strings make. Okay, hold that thought. Matter is ultimately the manifestation of something else. Gladly, there are also things that are normal. Take the universe. Again, it's something we think we know. The universe is that big black thing that all the lights in over your head. Perhaps you've even heard of it's expanding. First there was some kind of blast called the Big Bang, and from that moment the universe grew bigger and bigger. But hold it right there. Once more, the real story is far stranger than that. For starters, the universe has no outside. To ask what is outside the universe is a meaningless question. It would be like, what continent lies outside our planet? Outside the universe, there are no dimensions. There is no time. The universe is best seen as an expanding bubble of dimensions in a sea of nothingness. Although nothing isn't really a word you can use to describe what is outside the universe. It's extremely difficult to fully comprehend what that means. According to one theory, there are many dimensional bubbles like the one we live in. Our universe could be the result of two such bubbles or planes colliding. And wait, you're doing it again. You're picturing a place with bubbles floating around, but there's no such thing as a place. Instead, the other universes should be wrapped up within our own reality, remember? An even more bizarre theory has it that the place we call the universe is actually best compared to a hologram. Our universe could be something like a kind of optical illusion, the results of several dimensions resonating. It goes even further, for, in fact, it could actually be possible to create a universe. Basically, the only thing you'd have to do is squeeze a huge amount of energy into a very dense, small spot. This would lead to the Big Bang, as the theories predict. You wouldn't see it happening. The Big Bang would create a new dimensional bubble far beyond the reach of our own bubble. Okay, let's pause for a second. Just think about it. Is it possible that our reality is actually made by some other civilization in some other universe? It would explain why the fundamental constants are fine-tuned. And you, how real is your mind? So to wrap things up, we live in a place that's not really a place. We're made up of stuff that's not really stuff, and all we see is a small part of what's really there. Matter, time, dimensions, the universe, it's all lucid and unreal. And to make things even more bizarre, for some reason our universe is exactly present to make our existence possible. Pretty confusing, don't you think? Gladly you can cling to this one security, that you are here. No matter how weird the stuff around you is, you are definitely real. No need to explain, you just know you are. But do you really? Let's do an experiment. Speak out your name over and over and over and over again. After a while, you'll notice something weird. Your name will begin to sound strange. It's no longer something that is you. Your name is just a word, a random sequence of syllables and other sounds that people utter when they want to catch your attention. If your parents had given you another name, you would just listen to another sequence of sounds. The same happens when you look in the mirror. Stare at your own face long enough and you'll suddenly realize it's just another face. The face in the mirror is, of course, yours, but after a while you won't feel like that anymore. The face you see could be anybody's. Most neuroscientists agree the same applies for your consciousness, the thing you call yourself. It's most likely an illusion created by your brain. Your brain gives you vision, sound, speech, feelings, and thoughts. When you add all these things up, you'll have something overall feeling of awareness that you'll call your consciousness. But still, your brain is the thing running it. Your feeling of self is best compared to a software program running. It looks very real, but it isn't. Of course, most people believe there is something like a soul or a spirit living inside of you. But when it comes down to facts, there isn't any evidence for that. Every thought you have, every move you make, every emotion you feel, it's just brain, brain, brain. And there are actually experiments that prove it. When you disturb your brain a certain way, your feeling of self can get detached from your brain. Suddenly you will feel as if you are not inside your body anymore. You will experience what is known as an out-of-body experience or a near-death experience. But you don't have to be nearly dead to feel it. The sensation can easily be created in a laboratory by placing a helmet with a rotating magnetic field on your head. The magnetic field acts like a jam signal on your brain. Suddenly you'll feel like you're floating outside your body, but you aren't. It's just your brain getting confused. And you don't really need a helmet to do the trick. Visiting a place where the movement of Earth's crust generates a magnetic field can give you the experience. Being in a situation where your brain doesn't get enough oxygen can sometimes do it. Certain brain operations bring out the experience meditation and intensive prayer can generate. In fact, exactly this is why some people see ghosts, or Maria, or feel like they are visited by aliens. It's an incredible, weird experience to be outside of your own brain. Your brain will try to make sense of it. Immediately, the rational part of your brain will come up with an explanation for the experience. You will sense a presence near you. If you're religious, you might see Maria or Jesus. If you believe in UFOs, your brain might tell you you were visited by aliens. If you believe in ghosts, you'll feel the presence of a ghost, of a dead person. But in reality, it's your own feeling you're experiencing. So are we a game of Sims? So there you are. You're just a walking piece of matter that's pretending to be someone. But in reality, things like matter or self or the universe or time or dimensions are all just illusions. Everything we see and everything we feel are, in fact, the manifestations of some underlying reality. That leaves you with an unsettling question. What exactly is that reality? The truth is we don't know. We could be almost anything, really. A dream even, or a simulation, or a kind of computer game, advanced kind of civilization or Sims. There's no way of knowing if there's someone or something pushing the buttons. There's no way of knowing if there isn't either. And if there's this other thing most theorists agree on, our reality could suddenly end. Our universe could fold up, the dimensions we live in could be wrapped up, the very fabric of our physical world could be disrupted by some unprecedented weird physical event. From one second to another, our reality would no longer be there. Sounds like fun, right? But then again, why bother? That's the deeper consequence of these things. If there's no such thing as a place we call Earth, we wouldn't really need to worry about its end. Would the characters of a Sims game feel bad or disappointed when you turned off the computer? Or would people you dream of at night be mad if you wake up? You guessed it, they probably wouldn't. What isn't really there doesn't really end. That being said, there's only one small problem, you see. You have to be a good philosopher to really feel that way.